Hello everyone, it's me Laura from the Papered Soul and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing okay today. I just thought I would, as I'm still working on my journal that I'm creating, and this is in the Starting a New Journal series, that I would record another element that we're going to create for this journal. So, you know, we've done some pages and some layouts, still got to do that. I will say in the last video, my machine is still not working. My sewing machine's still not working like it's supposed to. In the last video, I was trying to get this sewn on, and it was not letting me load my bobbin for some reason. It's still giving me trouble, but I did manage to get some loaded, and I was able to use the color thread that I wanted. I also put a thread down this little card catalog that we made, and a journal card, and so I put a little sewing down that just to add a little texture, and again able to sew that bag on, so now I can flip it back freely, and I was able to, you know, just finish everything and sew everything out and everything. So there's that element. So what I wanted to do in my Spring Mist journals, I created this little fun element, and that's what I want to do today with in this. This is my Spring Mist. This is also from Artymaze. I've got two of these journals made. They are in my my Etsy shop, The Papered Soul. And so what I have here, you're going to have a pocket here, and then you have these little pockets, okay? And then you have, this opens up and you've got your little booklet, okay, with some extra journaling space, and then all that journaling space. So we're going to make this, and I just wanted to share that. And I was wanting to utilize, where I want to create it is in the back. And so once you make your decision on the size page, you know, you kind of have to tweak it a little bit. I was actually going to try to do it here or here, but the printout that I'm going to use is this from Artymaze's Beautiful Birds, and I printed this out on vellum, okay? And that's what I did with the Spring Mist journals also. I printed my image out on vellum, which kind of gives it a soft little image, and this printout is the regular size. I didn't mess with sizing. Now, I could have made it larger to make it fit a larger page, but I just saw that this page was smaller in my journal already, and so I'm just going to let that work there. So what I'm going to do is, I know that I want the little bird images, and I've got two journals I'm working on, so I'll use this side for my other journal. And then you can see there's some other printing, beautiful colors on this page as well. So I'm just going to come in, and what I'm going to do is go cut these off. And then whatever I'm left with, I'm going to try to make some tags with it as well, and utilize this whole page and not waste the ink. So let me go trim this out, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've trimmed my little birds images out. This one I made a little bit thinner. That'll be for my other journal. And then we're going to... Yeah, you know, I could trim this page, this part of the page down, but I don't think I will. So there'll be like a little bit of page border around it. Or I may trim that out. Yeah, I think I will. So what I'll do, I will trim this. I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and trim it. And we'll just have it flush. So I'm gonna trim this out, just this side. If I had not already made some things on the other side, I would just cut the entire page down. But I'm just gonna cut it from the fold over. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just trimmed on my cutter that little bit, and I wanted to be really careful and not go past that fold. So I'm just gonna trim this off the rest of the way, just like that. Well, I had to be really careful. Like I say, I didn't want to impact that fold or go into the next page. You know, I didn't want to mess that up. So there we go. So I just took a smidge off of that little edge. Okay, so now here we have, and what I'm gonna do, stuck on things. You see where that fold is, and so now it is flush the whole length of the page, and I'll need to do the same thing. Now I know how much this piece of paper needs to be. Okay, so I'll see how high it needs to be, and I will cut my page there. So I'm going to trim this page all the way across. I'm going to take this amount off right there over. So let me go cut that off. Okay, so now we have our regular piece of paper with that little trimmed piece off, and now this will match the height of this image. So now it's a matter of how we are going to fold it. So I'm going to have it flip open. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have it, the fold is going to be on the other side. So let me see how this will work. Okay, yes, so this is what's going to, actually I got to do it opposite. On this one, I need to do it opposite. So all I'm really going to do, I'm trying to get my folds the way I want them. This is going to be so my fold will go here. That's the first fold. And once you get that first fold, then you're able to fold whatever's left you make your booklet out of. So I'm going to fold it on that little pencil line that I just made. Okay, and then that will be enough space for this image to cover. Okay. And I may come in just a teensy bit, and I might have to trim a little off this edge, just to allow for, actually, I don't know, I really don't have to do that because it's going to just stay flat. There's no problem there. Okay, so now the other aspect, whatever I have that's not this part, okay, I'm just going to treat this like its own little piece of paper, and I'm going to just fold it in half. And that's going to make my booklet part. That's where the booklet is going to go for the extra paper. Okay? So basically all you're doing is accordioning your paper. And then you will have your little spots here. Because this is wider, my little tuck areas aren't going to be as large, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be a direct science. You just go with what you're working with. So under here, we're going to double that. That's where my little tags are going to go, okay? And then also, well, let's see. If I did it, yeah. So I will put it at the edge here like that. Then you can also tuck a little booklet in here, some other things under this actual booklet. And then this will open up, and then you have your extra journaling space. So that's how we're going to do that. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to reinforce this piece, okay? Because it's going to have this on it, but I also just want a little bit more of a thickness to it. So I'm going to take some paper, some extra, excuse the noise, paper here, and I'm going to add a little thickness to it. So I'm going to put that to the side, and I'm going to get my glue, and we're going to glue this on. And how, let me get that extra glue off. How we will do this is just get glue from this little fold over, okay? I don't want it going past that fold, and just cover this. This is just my reinforcing that I do. Just get that glue on there. I spend a lot of my time with journal making doing the reinforcing to make sure things are going to be sturdy and hold up, have enough thickness to them, and a lot of inking. That's what I spend a lot of time doing, but like I say, I think the time spent is worth it. Then I just take my excess paper, and I'm just making sure this is in the crease as far as it will go. And yes, and then I am going to just glue that down. Get that good and pressed down, and then I'm going to trim this out, okay? And then I'm left with a thicker piece of paper right there, okay? So let me fold that back so I can see. So then we're just going to cut along this edge. And so this is an element that will be easy to create. You don't have to have a lot of fancy stuff. You don't even have to use vellum, okay? You can just print it out on regular paper that you use for your kits, which I use presentation paper for a good color quality. But like I say, you don't, and then if you have your coffee dye papers and then your image that you have, you know, you're just, that's just how we're doing it. So let's see here. Booklets like that. Okay, and so now we have it. There we are. And I'm wondering if I turn, yes, I could turn this like that and do my booklet backwards. That's actually how I wanted to do it, and that way you'll have a little easier access getting into your little pockets, okay? But your booklet, now your booklet would pop open, no, your booklet is going to pop open like this. So that'll work. That's how I actually wanted it. Okay, so now, like I say, I just turned my paper upside down. I was operating with it like that. That's my glued piece. And I'm going to turn it this way. And the booklet will open like that for extra journaling, okay? And then this is going to go here. And that way you can get to your other little pocket, and then the little pockets that we're going to put in here. Okay, so before we start decorating, what I'm going to do is go ahead and put that booklet together, okay? And I need some cotton thread. That's how, now you can do your booklet different ways. You can just sew it in if you want to. Let me get my papers. So I already had some extra papers that were already folded, and what I'll just do is cut them down to the right size. Let me do this one. All right, so here's my booklet. That's my booklet. So all I really need to do is figure out, I'm gonna put this at the edge, or at the folded edge of this paper. It's already folded. And I'll tell you what I'm gonna do also. I'm going to put my journal to the side because it's just cluttering up our space. So let's not do that. Okay. So here's my element I'm working with. And I'm gonna just work on my booklet. So here's a piece of paper. It was just extra folded. Same thing with this one. And all I'm going to do, this is my whole width, and my fold is here, okay? So here's my fold. I'm going to put that fold on the fold line for my booklet, and I'm actually going to try to figure out, I'm going to measure it from, I'm just going to pull it in a little bit, like, or pull it down, I should say. I'm just going to pull it down and kind of give myself a little bit of a border at the top. So I don't want my papers to be right up, the papers that are inside, because this is going to be like the cover of my booklet. So I came down about maybe 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch. And there we did. So I marked it right there. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to come in from the bottom about 1/8, okay? Come in about 1/8 there. So I have, you know, smaller pages in my booklet. So I'm going to cut my, on my line here about 1/8 of an inch in, and cut 1/8 of an inch in there, okay? And that should be a little 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, and then 1/8 of an inch all the way around, okay? So I'm going to take this piece and I'll measure it when I go cut it, the same as this, and I'll have 2 pieces for the inside of my booklet. Okay, and so now I have my 2 little pieces cut down so that these will fit into my booklet, okay? And let's go ahead, and I'm going to edge punch these, and then we will get them sewn in. Okay, so I'm going to edge punch these little pieces first. These are my inside pages, and I think what I'm going to do is one with a little small edge punch. So let's do that. And that extra paper out of there. That. And then for this one, I'm going to punch this. Now this is a bigger area, surface area, and if it comes along and comes in, makes it shorter, which it should, then you'll have this pretty little, you'll be able to see the pretty edging. And so let's just see how that works out. You don't have to edge punch. This is something I am doing. It's just the way, what I like to do. I like to add the pretty decorative edges to my pages, but it's not something that you have to do. So I'm going to put these to the side, and let's see how this will fit. I'm thinking, since I took more off, if I put that on the outside, you'll be able to see kind of the lacy look of that one. So then what we're going to do is put them inside our little booklet here, and we're going to go ahead and sew them. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball this because this is such a small little booklet, okay? And I actually think I've absconded with my, how do you abscond your own stuff? But I have absconded with my other ruler. So my Tim Holtz ruler, I love it, and I'm so spoiled now. I don't know. So I'm just going to eyeball this is really what I'm going to do. Okay, so I have my little needle. It has, and I've got my cotton thread. This is a size 10 cotton thread. And you don't need probably as much as like a regular signature. If you wanted to sew this with your sewing machine, you could do that. And I'm just going to do a little 3-hole pamphlet stitch is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to do 1, 2. I'm hoping that will be enough. If it's not, I'll redo it. Should be enough. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this on my needle. Okay. And then, like I say, I'm going to eyeball it. So I'm going to pull this in so that I have about the same amount of space. These are my two little pieces of paper, and I want about the same amount of space on each end sticking out from the actual booklet, so these pages are not sticking out. Okay, and then I'm just going to eyeball my center and poke a hole, and then I'm probably going to come up and eyeball this, poke a hole, and then I'm going to eyeball this down here, because like I say, it's so simple and small. I just don't think it matters if this is exact, but I'm going to try to get it close so that it doesn't look crazy. Okay, so I have 3 little holes there that I was just eyeballing, and I'm going to sew it in. I'm going to go into the middle. Now, you can go on the outside if you want. If you start on the outside with your needle going in, if I'm not mistaken, I think you'll end up with your thread on the outside. If you start on the inside, your extra threads are going to be on the inside. And I like to do it on the inside because then I'll hang something from it to make it decorative. So I'm going to come out and leave a tail. Now I'm on the outside of the booklet. I find the hole and just thread my way through. If I have to thread each little page, that's usually what I end up doing because I don't want to mess up and poke more holes in the papers than I need, which can sometimes happen. Okay, and then I'm coming all the way down to the next hole. Okay, that one went through easy. And then I'm on the outside again, and I'm going to go back inside. And once we do that, let's see. So I'm just going to go through that hole. This one looks like it's going through pretty easy. Went through easy. Now, when I come back through, you just want to make sure that you've not split your thread. Okay? You want to make sure the needle didn't split this thread coming through this hole. Okay, and then the best thing to do is to come on the other side of this string here, okay? When you come back through, because that's just a good way, when you tie it off, that's just a good way to secure that string. So what you're going to want to do now is make sure that these are pulled tight, taut. Not too tight, but taut enough so that it's not loose and it is like a secure little booklet, even though it's a small little booklet. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then usually there's one string that's shorter and longer than the other, okay? And that just helps me keep up if I want to do a square knot to kind of make it nice and taut. Okay, I'm going to start with my long piece going over, so I tie that. And now I will make sure that I put my shorter piece over and then tie that. You can always put a little dab of glue on your little knot if you want to. Okay, so now I have my string, excess string here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this probably, I'm thinking if I'm going to dangle something from it, about where it will go. Now, if you wanted, you can have it dangling out, if your strings are long enough, which I think mine are. But I don't want it to get bent or torn, so what I'm going to hang from these, so I'm just going to kind of cut it about maybe here. And if I have to cut it a little more, we will. Now, let's go back to some ideas. These little elements that have been so much fun to play with would really be cute, or you could hang a butterfly from it if you wanted to. We've done that a lot. And here are these little, let me see where my other one is and just make sure had another page of these fun little things here. So I have options of what I want to hang from my strings. I could do my little postage. That would be cute, you know, and I could glue each one to the back. I could do these little circles. I could even do those if I wanted to. What I might do, I kind of like that size there for this, so I think what I'm going to do is pick out what little birdies I want. So I'll just make it simple, and I will cut this out. Now you could do these little guys too. You know, I could have that hanging from there. I just like the size of those, and so I think that's what I'm going to go with. Now, these are, I just think what I'm going to do, they have like little postage. You can see the little postage scalloped edge she has on it. And I think what I'm going to do, because I have actually gone around those with my little scissors, but I think I'm just going to cut very close to it and then ink it and just let that be it instead of getting into that kind of detail. Like I say, I probably have really made it hard on myself doing that. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do next, right? I'm not going to ink it yet. I'm going to find my cardstock. I was looking for my 65 pound, but I didn't find it. But that's okay. This is 100, what? 110, is that how it goes? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue one of these on here and cut it out. Because this card is thick enough, I'll just put the other image on the back side. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put this here, and then I'm going to go on and cut it out. So I'll just kind of rough cut it and then do my details since this piece of paper is so large. Okay. And so now I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to glue this. Actually, I am going to use another piece because I like to glue it between, and if I don't, my strings will pop through this. So you'll see what I'm doing. I'm going to go on and glue this on also. So what I've done is I've glued this little image to a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to glue this other image to a piece of cardstock. And that way, when I glue the two pieces of cardstock together, the strings are going to be in between, and you won't see the string between, you know, you won't be able to see the bulk of the strings, okay? So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just going to trim this out. And now I'm going to ink. Okay, so now I have I'll make sure that my booklet is going to be the way I need it, which it is, okay? And so now what I'm going to do, so we're going to have my booklet like this in the book. And we're going to open it like this. So here's the middle, and what I'm going to, and it may not matter, but it does matter. I just want to make sure I'm doing things the right way. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put glue on the back of this. Back of one of them. Okay. And I'll just, you know, put a good coverage on it because I'm going to glue everything down. Make sure this is right side up. And I'm going to put it down and kind of drop my string. Now, if you want your string, a couple of strings to pop through at the bottom, you can. Or if you just want it, that actually might be cute. So let me pull my string straight and just kind of do this. And you could always trim it if you want to. And then what I'm going to do, I might slide this down just a little bit. And then I'm going to put this on top. Okay? And then just even it up. And press it down really good, and that way you have a cute little bird image on each side that will kind of just swing around for fun and decoration, okay? And then I just don't mind those two strings sticking out. So that decorates the inside of my little booklet, gives you a fun element to look at, okay? So that's my journal. Okay, so next thing that I am going to do is get my image on here. All right, so I am going to ink around this image before I put it down, okay? So we're gonna do that. When you print your items out on vellum, set it aside and give it time to dry. Now, I did an inkjet. Some people have laser. I can't really speak to laser, and laser may be the same way. I would imagine that it is. But I just set it aside and give it lots of time to dry. You know, I'll let it dry overnight or whatever. I don't know that that is totally necessary, but it just makes sure that all of your ink gets settled in on your vellum, okay? All right, so now what I'm going to do, I did not put, when I was getting this down, I was basically just using glue at the very edges of my vellum. I didn't want just glue all under here. So what I do for that is I will use my art glitter glue and just put me a very thin bead of glue all the way around, and it will dry clear so you won't see it, okay? And so I'm just going to put a layer of glue, a little bead all the way around this vellum. So I just do the glue at the edges. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want it all the way around. Okay, and so now I'm going to very carefully take my image and glue it down to this top piece. Okay, so I'm gonna just make sure it's lined up along this little edge. Okay, and if you need to shift it, move it up a little bit, you can. Go ahead and do that before it has a chance to dry, and then press it down. So I'm going to open this up for right now so I'm not getting in the way of anything else. And I actually think I could have shifted that a little bit higher. But if it's off just a little bit, I should have shifted that up a little bit higher, I'll ink that and then I will trim this, okay, if that happens. But I'm going to ink all the way around it anyway. So then you have this around your edges, okay? That's real nice. Okay, so I'm going to ink those edges now that it's on the paper, okay? And then the other thing that I did on this, I mean, you don't have to do that. You could just leave this and it's fine. You also could sew around this if you wanted to. I have not done that. That actually would really be cute. In fact, I know it would be cute, but you could do that. But I actually think I'm going to use my little brads, and I put a brad at each corner and then a brad about in the middle. And it just adds a different look to it. And that'll be 6 brads. Okay. Now, then I will use my little pokey tool. And while I was looking for my little pokey tool, look what I just found. A little piece of paper that I had stamped a little bird on. Wouldn't that be cute, just tucked into your journal? Okay, I'm sure I kept it for that. All right, so all I'm going to do, I have a little foam piece, just a cheap little foam piece that I use for poking holes so I can have somewhere to go. And what I will do is just make sure that's the only part I'm dealing with, and then I come in just a little, give yourself a little space because this brad is going to be sitting down on it. So you want to have a little space around so that's not right at the edge, if that makes sense. It's very close to the edge, very close to the corner, but just come in a little more than 1/8 of an inch on each one. And again, I am eyeballing this, okay? I punch a hole and I will punch a hole. Do that on all corners. And then I kind of come in and do it around the middle. So I'm going to eyeball that again. And I'm going to come in just a little bit. So I think maybe come down a little bit here. Easier if I'd have my little ruler with me. Why I think I should ever start a video without my ruler, I will never know. I guess I like living on the edge. Okay, so I'm just going to use this ruler as a quick little guide to make sure I kind of have it in line a little bit. Okay. Again, just eyeballing that, and then I will put my little brads in. So I'll show you the first one. And I flip it over. And then I will find my little prongs and split those. And what I will do a lot of times is just kind of make sure that my prongs are not, like one prong is a little longer than the other. So what I'm going to do is turn that the other way so that it's not sticking out. We don't want it sticking out. So let me see if I can do that pretty easily. There we go. So that's pretty good. And I think if it's sticking out, you can trim it off a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna do that with the rest of my brads, and I'll be right back to show you what that looks like. Okay, now I have all my brads on, okay? And it just kind of has a cute little look to it. It's just kind of embellished it up a little bit, okay? And you know, like I say, you could always sew around it, or you don't have to do any of that. I like to always do a little something that makes sure that my glue is kind of adhered well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some little tags, and I have these little, and I hope I have enough. I think I do have enough of the image to make some. So these are fantastic little tag shapes, okay? And I think I'm going to put some in my shop. So I hope I will have these in my shop by the time this video airs. It's got a hole pre-punched in it already. All you got to do is just kind of pop that through when you're ready to put a ribbon in it. But this is just the perfect little size. I can convert inch. I'll put the inches in the description below. Okay. All right. So what I will be doing, I tell you before. We're going to glue this down, okay? I'm going to glue it down and make 3 separate little pockets, okay? So what I'm going to do, because I want these little tags to fit in their own little slot. So if I did, I'm going to put them in and eyeball them, okay? And they'll each have their own little individual pocket. Okay. Since this is in the middle, well, yeah, you're not going to want, so what you're going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to have a bead of glue up here and a bead of glue down here. We know that. And then what we're going to do is come and put a bead here and a bead here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little line right here that I can erase in pencil about in the middle of those 2 tags, and that is how I know where I'm going to put my bead of glue. And I guess I could just put it straight down on this paper instead of here. That's what I'll do. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue with this glue on the ends, and I'm going to put it here. Just a little bead right there. See if I got a little much, like I always do. So let me see if I can tamp that down and put some on the other end. Okay, and now that I have my little marks, my page marks here, I can kind of see where my bead of glue needs to go. And I'm going to use my art glitter glue, and for those middle sections that I'm creating. Oops, and I don't need to do it that far out because my page doesn't start. My page is going to fold over to about here, so I make sure I come in. Does that make sense, y'all? Right there, and then here. So I'm just eyeballing this. So putting a little bead of glue and a little bead of glue to make my little separate sections for my tags. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this over. I've got my Fabri-Tac glue on these ends, and let me make sure I have enough because this looks like it is drying just a little bit. Let me add a little bit more. Just a little. Okay, and so then I've got glue here and glue here, okay? And then I have my art glitter glue here. So when I fold this, that is going to cinch this little pocket down. I've got my little pencil mark there, so that's where that one is. And my pencil mark here, so that's where that one is. And then my glue is on the top edge, okay? So once that's done, I can erase my little pencil marks. Okay. All right, and now we are ready to decorate our little tags that's going to go in here. So let's do that. I'm going to put this aside. And you remember my little page that I cut these images off of, you know, my 2 little bird images. So what we're going to do, you can it's always easier to see what your design is when you actually put your, your white paper or your card that you're going to use behind it, okay? And so, that's kind of decorative and pretty at the top of that. This has some shading. It's very, very pale. It's got, let me make sure I've got the right side. Yes, I do. Yes. Make sure you have the right side. And then, it has a little bit of scripted writing there and everything like that. Here is like the butterfly. So if you wanted to do that, here's some writing, some script writing. So, I have 3. And so I think what I'm going to do, I know one of them I left for flipping up. And you can do that, or what I think I'm going to do is do 2 that are already just adhered down, and you'll use the back of the card. So again, my art glitter glue comes in handy for this, and all I'm going to do, and I think what I'm going to do is going to pop this little, it's just already pre-cut. They just didn't pull the little holes out. So let me do that, because I'm going to run ribbons through it. Okay. This is a Sonic, Tim Holtz Sonic Studios. There's a correct name for it. I'll put it in the description. I call it my pokey tool, and it is, you can't do without that either. So I've already know I want to do one of those images there. So all I'm going to do is come around and put a thin bead of glue, of my art glitter glue, around the edge, just like I did a while ago. And since I haven't, this will make it easier to cut out. So what I'm going to do is just put it around my tag. And then I'll just glue, then you can just find the image that you want or that you like, and just put this, get it the right side up. There's the hole, okay? And then I'm just going to lay this over, okay? And I want to make sure that I have enough coverage on the outside, so you can come in, make it go over just a little so you have enough coverage. And then I'm just pressing that little bead of glue down like that, okay? And that will dry, and then I will cut this out. So I'm just going to cut around my tag very carefully. Go around my corners. And here. And okay, and so there's my first little tag. I'm gonna let it dry, and then all I have to do is punch a hole. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is I will end up doing some inking and stenciling and everything like that. So I'm gonna put that there. Let's do one that is not glued down. So what I do is I find where I like my my little scripting to be on this, and I'm just going to basically flip it over, okay, and line it up straight. I know that basic area is good right there. And then I'm just going to actually trace around it. Now sometimes or oftentimes, or always, when you trace around something like that, you've gone outside the lines of this a bit. So when I cut it, I'm going to, first and foremost, just make sure that I cut it. You can cut it right on the line, and you still might have to do some trimming, or you can cut it just inside that line. Okay? So kind of on it, but just inside. And I'm hoping that will make that a perfect cut. So just take your time going around those corners. And then just that last little corner. There we go. Okay, so, and making sure I find the right side of it again. That's the right side. And then that's a pretty close cut, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you. I actually have a punch that's pretty close to that small size punch. But what I'm going to do is line this up, and it does look like I still will need to do a little trimming on it. It's still slightly larger. So I guess I really should have come in just a little bit more, but that's okay. Lining it up the best I can, and I'm going to just punch a hole through both the vellum and the tag where the hole originally is, okay? And then I can flip it over and see where there's a little bit of trimming that I could do, especially on the bottom. So let me just do that. Just a small little trim there. And now I'm going to ink it, okay? Just ink all around my vellum. Vellum is, you know, there's like a little area I saw that was a little bit not as rounded as it could have been. And I kind of saw that when I put the ink on it. It kind of showed it to me. Okay, and now, okay, what am I going to do with these cards? So I will make another card offline. I'm going to glue it on, but I'm going to do that off camera. So let's do our little bit of stenciling, because you know that just adds to the tags. Let's do a little inking on this one. And then I can ink the back. Now you can do, I think what I'm going to do is the evergreen bough. It's just one of the prettiest colors for my stenciling. I've already distressed. I'm gonna do the same thing on here. Now this one I'm doing separate. I've already inked my vellum that's gonna go on top, and I'm gonna ink the actual side that that's gonna go on, and then I'm gonna ink the back so it'll be ready. Okay. And then I will use my colors. Let me find my, here it is, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna use my evergreen bough, and I'm gonna put a pretty little stencil design on the backs of these cards. So this one, I'm gonna leave plain, that's gonna have this on top of it, okay? And so this will be the back. And then this is obviously the back of that one. And then I'm gonna just stencil a really fun design on it, just lightly, okay? Just do. Just kind of get it on there straight, alrighty? And I'm just gonna do very lightly a little design, and that way your tag is going to be pretty no matter where. Now what I'll do, you'll be able to write on the back of these because the stenciling is so light that you can write on them and journal on them. You can still do that. So just do a little there, and a little there. Just do it in little sections, and then there you have that, okay? All right, and so now I have a few little ribbons that I'm going to use for all of these eventually. So, like this one might do the green, to pull the green out of that. So let's punch that hole. Okay. I think my little my punch just lost one side of his pants. Okay, so that's done, and then what I'm going to do is use my little ribbon here, and I hope these are the right size. I just eyeballed it when I was cutting them, so I hope I've got a good cut to that. And then put that through. Okay. Okay, so I have that. I'm just going to trim that off a little bit where I've pulled on it. So then you have that one. And then this one is not glued, but I'm going to run my little ribbon through both of these, and it'll just be hanging on there. There we go. So I have that, and so the neat thing about this is you can lift that up and you can do some journaling there, and then you can journal on the back of that one, okay? And you can journal on the back of that. So I have 2 of these done, and I will do my other one off camera. So I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I now have all of my 3 tags that I'm going to be tucking into this fun little pocket or booklet pocket that we have. And I'm thinking those are dry now, so what we can do, I'm going to put that one in the middle, and that one there, and this one here. You can put them wherever you want to put them, but I just thought that would be pretty there. Okay, so basically this is done, and now let's see about how we would glue that into our journal. Okay, so I was going to do it on this page here. Set that aside. Let me just move that to the side. So that's my whole little layout there. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm going to be gluing this here. I'm going to take this little back page out. So I'm going to be gluing this little booklet right in here. Okay, and that is going, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put a bead of glue on the back of this here, here, and here. So this forms a pocket. This whole element forms a pocket. And then you have these little pockets, and then this will open up, and you've got your journal. Okay, little journal there. I'll have to come up with a good name for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, like I say, I'm going to glue it here, here, and here on the back. So I'm going to hold it here so I'll know what sides I need to glue, and I'm using I like to use my Fabri-Tac for things. This has a little small bit of weight to it. It's not terribly heavy, but you know, it's got a little small bit of weight to it. It's got a lot going on with it, and a lot of little elements that are relying on this to hold. So I'm going to put this little bead of glue on the back of this. Now, you actually, if you did not want to, glue this in, this could be like a little traveling, and it could be a traveling booklet. Now, if you do a traveling booklet, you might want to have it on the other side, so this will be on the front, and your booklet doesn't open backwards, but when you are doing this on pages, you know, you can do all kinds of different things. All I'm doing is coming in a little bit. I came in about 1/8 of an inch from my fold just to give it some space, okay? And then I'm going to open it up and make sure this is pressed down good, okay? So it was here, here, and here where I did my gluing. Make sure it's straight, okay? And give that a little time to dry, just a little bit. Press it down good. There's my journal. There's a fun little dangle in the middle with my elements from her kit as well. And journaling space all there. And then little tag here, okay? And then you have a pocket here. Okay, so I'll have to make something that I'm going to tuck in there to add to it. All right, so then what we have is, I'm going to put everything back in the same place. Put the rest of my journal back. And you can see, again, this makes another point. The point that I always like to make as to why I wait till I sew my signatures in after I have decorated all my pages. Okay? And so now you have, okay, so now this is on here. It's in the journal. So when I flip to this page, I've got my little element here. I've got a whole little booklet of extra pages to journal on. And then I have little tags that I can journal on and cute little pockets there with my beautiful image. Okay. And then another little tuck here where I can, another little pocket there where I can put something else. Okay. So there you have that, and I hope you like that element, and maybe it will inspire you to create this, or it might prompt some inspiration for some other things. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you will like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will be aware of whenever I release other videos, and I hope you will join me for the next part in this series of starting a journal, a new journal. And join me for the next things that we're going to create. Bye, everyone.